Katabasis by R.F. KUANG. Alice Law is a postgrad student in analytical magic at Cambridge University, and Alice's ultimate goal, once she gets her degree, is to earn a top position in academia. But in order for Alice's dream to come true, she needs her advising professor, Jacob Grimes, to hear her dissertation. But unfortunately for Alice, shortly before she is prepared to give her dissertation, Jacob Grimes dies in a laboratory explosion. So Alice, who is a very determined person, decides that she will go to hell and retrieve Professor Grimes using a very arcane spell that Alice knows. Right before Alice is prepared to step off into hell, she is interrupted by a colleague, Peter Murdoch. Peter Murdoch is also a top student in analytical magic at Cambridge, and he comes up to Alice and he is able to determine immediately what she is about to do, and he insists on accompanying her. Well, Alice has no time to argue this with Peter, so she allows him to come along for the ride. Once Alice and Peter arrive in hell, it is not anything like they were expecting. Instead of pits of lava and streams of fire, they encounter a desert-like environment. Katabasis is not primarily about their journey through hell, although they do traverse the 8 circles of hell while they are searching for Professor Grimes, and they encounter many interesting creatures and people along the way. But in my opinion, the crux of this story, the entire plot of this story, centers around gaslighting, even though that word is never used in Katabasis. But Alice has been very severely gaslit by her professor, Jacob Grimes. He has continually told Alice how inferior she is, how she doesn't work hard enough, how she is not the best student, and Alice has developed a mindset of accepting and excusing his behavior by telling herself, if I only work harder, if I only stay in the lab later at night, if I only do this or do that, I will finally receive the professor's approval. He will finally like me. And as Alice and Peter traverse the 8 circles of hell, they have plenty of time to talk, to get to know each other better. And Alice has always considered Peter a threat to her, since he is also one of the top students in analytical magic at Cambridge. She has always seen him as a threat to her goal of advancement. And as they walk through hell and as they talk, Alice discovers that Peter was also a victim of the gaslighting from their professor, and that the professor was telling Peter, all along he was telling Peter the same things that he was telling Alice. He was telling Peter, Alice is a better student. Alice is more dedicated. You should be more like Alice. And so as they travel and these events and these thoughts and ideas and revelations unfold, Peter and Alice begin to like each other, and they were formerly almost enemies, but they began to like each other, and Alice discovers that in reality, Peter all along admired her and has been slowly falling in love with her. So Katabasis is also at its heart a love story. But for me, the main theme of Katabasis was the gaslighting, the cruelty, the sheer cruelty that Professor Grimes used against both Alice and Peter and many other students in the years leading up to the events of this book. That was what meant the most to me in this book. And I have highlighted one paragraph that clearly demonstrates the theme of this book. When Alice really thought about it, this was the worst thing that Professor Grimes had ever done to her. Made her doubt she was a good scholar. He destroyed her faith in her own ability to think and to judge the results of her thought, instead of turning to him at every step for confirmation. And it was just so unfortunate that it took his death for her to conceive, research, and carry out an entire project on her own. Rebecca KUANG has attended Cambridge, Oxford, and Yale, so I do wonder if some of the thoughts and emotions that are in Katabasis are her own feelings, her own thoughts and reflections. If so, if that is the truth, I think it's a sad commentary on the state of higher education. Eventually, Alice does meet up with Professor Grimes in the 8th circle of hell, but by this time her priorities have greatly altered. The time she spent traversing the desert sands of hell with Peter has made Alice come to appreciate interactions and relationships with people over her literary pursuits. Alice's goal in going to hell was to meet up with the king of the underworld, King Yama, and request that she be allowed to take Professor Grimes back to the world of the living. But once Alice finally confronts King Yama and is able to present her request, the request that she makes is far different from the one that she traveled to hell to accomplish. Katabasis is a strange novel. It is dark academia, which I love, but there's just a lot to unpack from this novel. For me, the main theme was the gaslighting that both Alice and Peter endured. And the second theme is that Alice has learned to value and treasure human interactions and relationships above her academic pursuits. This is not a novel that's for everyone, but if you enjoy dark academia and reading about university life, as well as being able to enjoy the fantasy aspects of Alice's and Peter's journey to hell, then I can recommend Katabasis by R.F. KUANG.